So you have to give a speech. And the reason you're here is you don't want to. Well, if it makes you feel any better, the whole world hates public speaking. Jerry Seinfeld tells the story of public opinion surveys, which indicate that people have a greater fear of public speaking than they do of death. Which means, according to Jerry Seinfeld, when you go to a funeral and someone is standing up giving the eulogy, it means that the guy speaking is having a worse day than the guy in the box. Of course, people who come to me nervous about public speaking want first and foremost to know how to get rid of their nervousness. And I tell them, don't try. One sure way to make yourself not be relaxed is to tell yourself, relax, relax. It doesn't work that way at all. In fact, I tell people to embrace their nervousness. Every good speaker, in fact, is nervous. Show me someone who's completely confident, who doesn't have an edge about them, who isn't nervous when they take the podium, and I will show you one boring speaker. You can be very nervous and still be a very effective speaker. In fact, you need some nervousness to be effective. So don't try to push down, quash, get rid of that nervousness. Instead, embrace it. One of the things to do is I tell people is to develop a mantra. Convert that nervousness into something positive. Because what you're probably doing right now is saying, I have to give a speech, I'm nervous about it, I'm going to make a mess. Which of course you will understand is a sure way to make a mess. So begin with something like this. Don't use these precise words, but something like this that is meaningful to you. I'm nervous, I'm alive, I'm going to knock them dead. Take that nervousness and turn it into something positive. Nervousness is something that you can actually enjoy. It's tension. Go to any amusement park and you'll see people who are spending very good money to make themselves all tense. You plunk down your money, you get on the roller coaster ride, and it goes chugga-chugga up the hill. And all the time you're going up the hill, you get more and more tense because of the thrill of coming down. And people are paying for this. People are recognizing tension can be good. So take that nervousness that you have about public speaking and think of it not as something that will turn it into a mess, but as something that's going to give you the energy to do really well. And I strongly recommend you have some kind of mantra, a really simple one that you will actually say to yourself as you're walking towards that mic. Make it short, make it simple, make it something that you really feel. I'm nervous, I'm full of energy, this is going to be great. Whatever it is, find something that's meaningful to you, and you will transform that nervousness into something good. Don't worry about being nervous. Don't worry about it. The more you think about it, the more you try to tell yourself, calm down, the more you're putting yourself into a box where you're going to have a real problem. One of the crucial things about public speaking, people come to me looking for some sort of advice or help in being a good public speaker. And I tell them, forget about yourself. When you're going to public speak, when you're standing in front of an audience speaking, the least important person in the room is you. What I mean by that is the audience is the most important. A good speech is a speech that affects the audience in a particular way. A good speech maker does not think about how can I be colorful, how can I be amusing, what can I do, rather as if this were a stage performance. Instead, a good speaker thinks, what will make my audience feel good? What will make my audience go away and feel happy about? Some of the dullest public speakers in the world can hold their audience's rapt attention. Why? Because they have something that the audience wants. Think about an instructor at a driving school. These are people of no particular charm or personality or whatever, but they stand in front of a group of young people talking about the rules of the road, and these young people hold on to their every word. Why? Because they want to get their driver's license. To get the driver's license, they have to pass the driver's test, and they have to know what it is that the instructor is telling them. They and driving instructors standing in front of a classroom are very effective because they're giving their audience something they want. And so that's something to bear in mind. Are you giving something that will make your audience feel good? In some cases, it's information. If it's a technical speech and you have people who need to learn the material, you don't need any games, gimmicks, or whatever else. You have information that they want. Your public speaking involves giving them that information in any way that they can follow, and they'll appreciate it. But of course, the public speaking that makes us most nervous is not that kind of thing. It's such as, well, giving, let's say, a tribute at a retirement party. And I think we've all seen this one. Joe is retiring. One of his friends from work gets up to give a little speech. And it's a bomb. It's a complete bomb and utterly dull. Because this individual talks about how he and Joe in the morning meet 10 minutes before work and they go to their favorite donut shop. And Joe always orders, you know, the extra cream and on and on. It all becomes, well, you see, the speaker is making this mistake. These things are important to him. Every morning, he's met with Joe and they have this little routine and he's really going to miss it. The reason it's completely dull and boring is it means nothing really meaningful. It gives the audience nothing. At a retirement party, who's there? A bunch of people who know Joe either very well because they're his family, or people who know him not so well. Now, what you want to do is give a speech in which you talk about a few of the colorful things, or really warm and friendly things that Joe has done. So the family sits there listening and they come away feeling good because you made their husband, their father look good in front of all those people. And they're feeling good because you did something for them. You told everyone just how wonderful Joe was. The people who don't know Joe very well, you tell them an amusing story. Something that indicates that Joe was a nice guy, a sweet guy, a wonderful person, and they all will leave happy because they have a nice warm feeling. They have a warm feeling because they think, Joe, I didn't know him well, but it turns out he was an interesting, nice guy. And they also are thinking in the back of their minds, this is a nice way to be. This means when I retire, someone's going to be standing up, saying nice things about me, and making me look good. You've given the audience something that is valuable to them. Now, sometimes that really varies. Sometimes you may give them an insight into something. You've seen that. You've gone to a speech, it's been really good, and you come away saying, I never thought of it that way. That's the thing. I've been through that situation a dozen times, but I never thought of it the way you explained it. You've given them something new. Sometimes it's just a common feeling. You just talk about something that you've been through, which is a common experience of people in the room. And people come away feeling good about it because they say, I know exactly how you felt. I went through the very same thing. There's an affinity and a bond there. One of your first and most important challenges, in fact, probably the most important challenge as a public speaker, is to get people to like you. I know that sounds really sappy, but you have to remember there are all kinds of people in any audience who are really quite prepared to dislike you. Why is he giving the speech instead of me? He knows more than me? I don't think so. A lot of negative attitude, frankly. A lot of people whose attitude is, I just wonder when this is going to be over. You win these people over with what? With them liking you. One of the first things to do when you come to a mic is stop, take time, look around the room, and smile. The smile is magical. Even in a big city, you walk down the street, you look at strangers, you give them a little smile, and all kinds of them just smile back. It is a way of winning people over. A smile. So take time. You're coming to the podium, you're nervous, you want to get going. Instead, just the opposite. Take time and do the smile. Second thing that wins people over is humility. Why am I listening to this person? And what you want to establish is you're just a regular person, just like any of them. Now, on the humility score, there's one big mistake that speakers make that I don't want to see you make. A lot of speakers perhaps understand that they need to be humble, or for the other reason, make this error. They get to the podium and they say, I don't know why the chairman asked me to speak on this topic because I really don't know very much about it. This is not establishing that you're humble. This is establishing that you are a know-nothing that people shouldn't bother listening to. And that's what you don't want to do. Humility is like, well, it's like from the old Johnny Carson show, Karnak, his magician, coming up to the desk, always tripping over the step. Humility is, you're the after-dinner speaker, and you spill mustard on your tie. Instead of going up to the podium trying to cover the mustard stain, you unbutton the jacket, you let everybody see the mustard stain, and you make a joke about how the food was so good, you decided to not just eat it, but to wear it. You do any of these things that establish that I'm just a regular person like you. But don't take away from your knowledge, your understanding. And if you're not a particular expert, and yet you were trying to convey ideas, one of the things to say or to do is to say, well, this is what I have learned. There's a certain area where you're caught in a terrible balance. You want to have enough authority that you say to people, I'm worth listening to. And yet you also want to convey, but I'm humble and nice enough guy that you would actually want to listen to what I say.